So welcome back to Sepang. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Matt Burt, down in pit lane Dylan Gray for this penultimate round, the MotoGP World Championship.
Pedrosa, Marquez, Rossi on the front row. Row 2, Lorenzo, Crutchlow and Andrea Iannone.
Row 3, Andrea Dovizioso, Maverick Vinales and Bradley Smith. Row 4, Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro fit and Danilo Petrucci.
Row 5 headed by Stefan Bradl, Scott Redding and Jack Miller. Row 6, Bautista, Yoni Hernandez and Nicky Hayden making his last Grand Prix appearance in Malaysia.
Row 7, Loris Baz, Tony Elias and Eugene Lafferty. Row 8, Mike DeMeglio, Ant West and Damien Cudlin. And row 9, all on his own, the naughty boy, Hector Barbera.
Yeah, Hector Barbera, if you are just joining us, penalised for an incident this morning with Pol Espargaro. He was 10th on the grid. He starts now from the back of the grid.
The moment of truth is getting closer. Will we have a new 2015 MotoGP World Champion? Can Lorenzo claw back anything advantage? Can the Yamahas match the pace and the speed of the Hondas at the front? Stay with us, because we are about to find out.
This 20-lap Malaysian Grand Prix remarkably is Valentino Rossi's 329th Grand Prix appearance. It's a new record for appearances in Grand Prix racing history. Will he celebrate by taking the 2015 MotoGP World title?
Lorenzo's leading the sighting lap, and that's a good start, isn't it, up towards turn 4. Dylan, track conditions.
Look, it's going to be fine. It is quite hot and humid. It is a little bit warmer than it was in Moto2, but the good thing is this rain that they thought might come has stayed away. That doesn't mean that the teams won't be prepared. There could be a few interesting things with regards to wet tyre choice should they need to switch onto the number 2 bike. However, I don't think we should get into that right now, because as we stand, like you guys said, medium front, medium rear, it's going to be a straight shootout.
Take a big deep breath at home. Boy, Lorenzo, Danny Pedrosa. A little bit of a wiggle there from Andrea Iannone. And there he is, Valentino Rossi. In there also, Marc Marquez. Certainly not sending Christmas cards to each other at the moment. Just to remind you of the situation. Rossi leads that World Championship by 11 points. Will he be crowned the new champion?
The world waits with bated breath. The 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix about to start in front of a crowd of almost 90,000 fans. Valentino Rossi versus Jorge Lorenzo. The 2015 MotoGP World Championship potentially on the line in the next 20 laps.
Confirmation there, Marc Marquez in 3rd place, Andrea Iannone in 4th. Then Jarvis, the boss of Yamaha Racing. One ear he's thinking of Rossi, the other ear he's probably thinking of Jorge Lorenzo. There's been a lot of goings on off the track this weekend. There's been a lot of pretty nasty stuff said. That is now forgotten, or is it forgotten? Because
we're about to find out.
We are. This is the showdown. It's the penultimate round. It's 20 laps of the Sepang circuit. Will Valentino Rossi, at 36 years old, be crowned the 2015 MotoGP World Champion?
Marc Marquez got away well from the middle of the front row of the grid. So did Valentino Rossi. Danny Pedrosa moves to the middle of the track on that run down to the first corner. Jorge Lorenzo's been swamped by the 2 factory Ducatis. Disastrous start for Lorenzo. It's Dovizioso that tries to sweep around the outside of Rossi. It's the 2 Hondas led by Danny Pedrosa that lead this race. Dovizioso, Lorenzo getting squeezed by the 2 Ducatis. What a nightmare for the Spaniard.
Lorenzo trying to fight his way through the pack. The 2 Hondas lead the way, but Rossi in 3rd place. Turn 3, up towards turn 4 they come. Pedrosa leads Marquez. Here comes Lorenzo up the inside on the brakes. What a move by Lorenzo.
Lorenzo up the inside of both the factory Ducatis at turn number 4. Brilliant from the number 99. That was reminiscent of Andrea Iannone last weekend at Phillip Island when he swept under Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. It's Danny Pedrosa that leads this Malaysian Grand Prix from Marquez, from Rossi. Lorenzo having to fight really hard though to make a break away from Dovizioso.
Crucial first lap of the race. Through 7 and 8 they come. Up now towards turn 9. Favourite overtaking place at this circuit. Even Rossi, I don't think, will attempt it this time around. The Ducatis of Iannone, in particular, try to fight back against Lorenzo.
Up through turn 11. Opening lap of this Malaysian Grand Prix. It's Dani Pedrosa chasing a 7th Premier Class podium here in the Far East. There is Valentino Rossi. Lorenzo, has he finally broken that determined early charge of the Ducati GP15s of Andrea Dovizioso and Andrea Iannone. There's Pol Espargaro in 7th place. Good start to this race for Pol Espargaro. He's gained 5 places on the opening lap.
Rossi closing up on Marquez. Remember the war of words on Thursday evening from Rossi. Down the back straight, well over 200 miles an hour, down through the gearbox into turn 15.
We're about to complete the first lap then. It is Pedrosa from Marquez, then it's Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo has clawed right up onto the back wheel of Valentino Rossi. This is going to be the first big shootout between the two factory Yamaha riders. And Lorenzo makes his move up the inside the first corner. Caught Rossi napping in the braking zone for turn number 1. Rossi tries to fight back. They almost touch through the first corner. Lorenzo up into 3rd.
Oh, Lorenzo has been mighty aggressive on the first lap. Even more aggressive up at turn 1. They almost touch, but Lorenzo now up into 3rd place. Honda's at the front, Lorenzo 3rd. Rossi, Iannone, great start, as you say, from Pol Espargaro. Despite that injured neck, that would not be enough. 8 points. We'd be on our way to Malesia. We saw it in Moto3. You blink and it changes at the top of the championship table.
Brilliant move by Lorenzo on the brakes down into that first corner to take 3rd place away from Valentino Rossi. The live World Championship standings, Rossi's lead will be cut down to 8 points heading to that final round in Valencia. Of course, it was 8 points, the gap between Rossi and Nicky Hayden 9 years ago, and we all know what happened there between the American and the Italian. Can Rossi respond in his favourite braking zone, turn number 9? No, he can't, not close enough. Lorenzo holds firm. Lorenzo and Rossi then trying to break away from Dovizioso. Andrea Iannone really struggling to go with his Ducati teammate. He's dropped down in 6th place.
Valentino Rossi made a decent start. Near as that overtaking manoeuvre at turn 1. He came from a long way back. They almost... Rossi tries to pull back up the inside. Lorenzo, as they flick it left through turn 2 where it dips away, just holds the advantage. Problems here for Iannone.
Well, we said Iannone was struggling to run the pace of the top 6, and that's the reason why. Mechanical on that factory GP15. About to complete the 2nd lap. It's still Dani Pedrosa that leads the way from Marquez. Then it's Lorenzo through turn number 15. Valentino Rossi in 4th. Now, what's the gap between Lorenzo and Rossi at the end of this 2nd lap? Is Rossi finding it hard to go with his teammate? Lorenzo has just set the best lap of the race, a 2:00.6, and worrying for Valentino Rossi, it was half a second quicker than the Italian.
This is Lorenzo in turn 1. This is where he took over 3rd place on the last lap from Valentino Rossi. Lorenzo really has got the charge on through turn 3. They start climbing the hill up towards turn 4. Valentino Rossi, well, it's early stages of the race. You can't talk about damage limitation just that. There is Andrea Dovizioso, just got a glimpse of him. And Cal Crutchlow moving up into 6th place.
Marquez out wide at turn number 4. He got it wrong on the brakes down into turn number 4. Jorge Lorenzo sweeps underneath him. Lorenzo now into 2nd place. Starts the pursuit of Dani Pedrosa, but it was a mistake by Marquez on the brakes into turn 4.
What an important mistake that could be. Rossi now closes up on Marquez. This is going to be very fierce indeed after the war of words on Thursday night. Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Marquez, Rossi closes up as they come into turn 9. 17 and a half laps to go. What a race already unfolding.
Lorenzo was half a second inside of Marquez's race lap record set last year on the 2nd lap of this Malaysian Grand Prix, and Lorenzo now in 2nd place. He took full advantage of that mistake by Marquez up at turn number 4. We're back on board with Marquez through turn number 12. There is Valentino Rossi then trying to find his way through. It's Dani Pedrosa that's in control though of this Sepang race. Pedrosa's advantage over Lorenzo is up to almost 1 second. Marquez is a further half a second back.
Here comes Rossi, we ride with him. Marquez in front of him. I don't think he is quite close enough on the brakes. They come. Even Valentino Rossi can't get up the inside of Marquez as they come into turn 15. This is the way Lorenzo slipped down on sudden. Rossi almost up the inside of Marquez as they accelerate up towards turn 1. 17 laps to go.
Marc Marquez talked yesterday about problems he was having with front end grip, and there he was in hot at turn number 15. He's having real issues stopping that factory Honda on a full fuel load in the early part of this Malaysian Grand Prix. That's giving Jorge Lorenzo a chance to pull away in second place. It gave Lorenzo the chance to take second place on the last lap at turn number 4. So Marquez having a few issues on the brakes with that front tyre. Great chance now. Can Rossi pounce up at turn number 4? He's certainly close enough to move up the inside. Rossi takes third place. He's up the inside of Marquez. Rossi makes it stick. Rossi back up into third. Marquez tries to squirt it back through 5. Rossi's got the inside line. Rossi third.
Marquez will fight back. Rossi up into third place through 5, and now coming through turn 6. Marquez very close through 6, 7 and 8 coming up. One of the favourite overtaking places about to arrive. It's turn 9, and Marquez closing up on Rossi. Round 8 they come. Little short straight. 9 approaches.
When was the last time we saw Marc Marquez going backwards in a MotoGP race? It's Dani Pedrosa, his teammate, that still holds an 0.8 of a second advantage over Jorge Lorenzo. There was Rossi, a little bit slow coming out of turn 9. He's under pressure from Marquez, but Marquez is having pretty major front-end grip issues in the early part of this race. He's already succumbed to Lorenzo and to Rossi at turn number 4.
There is Marquez, there is Rossi. We've ridden with both of them safely through now, 12 and 13. Again, Marquez closes up. Has he got the power as they come through 40? They accelerate down this back straight, as I say, well over 200 miles an hour on the brakes. We ride with Marquez. I have a feeling after what has gone on this week, he will give absolutely everything to beat Rossi. They get into 15, not able to do so. He is having his problems. Can he get the power up as he comes up the inside? Side by side they come. Rossi should have the advantage as they go up towards turn 1.
Will Marquez be able to use the grunt and the power of that factory Honda down in the braking zone for the first corner? Marquez moves to the inside line. Marquez is going to make the move on Valentino Rossi. Rossi tries to cut it back to the inside. Rossi's back through. Brilliant from the Italian. This is the dogfight the world was waiting for between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. We've got it here in Malaysia.
We've got it, big style. The talking stop now. They're talking out on the track. We ride with Valentino Rossi. Up they come towards turn 4. Here comes Marquez. Here comes Marquez.
It was personal off the track on Thursday. It's personal on the track on Sunday here in Sepang. Rossi fights straight back through turn number 5. Brave move by the 36-year-old. Marquez squeezes Rossi out again. This is brilliant. Epic battle between the old warhorse and the new master.
Oh, what a race for third place. Marquez back into third place. Through 7 and 8 they come. Rossi may line him up at turn 9. He's got to get a little bit closer than that. Here they come up towards turn 9. Here comes Rossi on the brakes.
This is Rossi's favourite overtaking point on the Grand Prix calendar. Brilliantly up the inside of Marquez. Marc Marquez says take it straight back at turn number 10. Will Rossi cut back to the inside at turn number 11? You bet he will. Rossi up the inside. This is unbelievable action. Big moment for Rossi on the front, and he lost the front of that Yamaha. Left foot off the footrest. Marquez back through.
Crowd are going completely and utterly crazy. I'm sure you are back at home. This is the battle we wanted after everything that's happened this weekend, and we are getting it. Marquez third, just down towards turn 50. Pedrosa still leads the way from Lorenzo.
This is more about World Championship points. This is about personal pride between Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. This is a raging battle for third place. While these two are having this unbelievable dogfight for third, this is giving Dani Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo the perfect chance to break away. In fact, that gap now between Lorenzo and Marc Marquez, it's up to over 2 seconds. Pedrosa and Lorenzo lapping in the low 2.01s. Marquez and Rossi in the low 2.02s. While they're having this fight, they're a second slower than the two in front. This was how close it got. Oh, Rossi was leaning on Marquez up through that turn 10. You are not going to get any closer between two of the fastest men in the world, two of the biggest rivals now in the world.
Unbelievable stuff between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. And
That was the moment.
That was the moment for Rossi. We're back to live, and Rossi again right on the rear wheel of the Honda. Pedrosa has that big advantage at the front from Lorenzo. First and second one. Big advantage is 7/10 of a second. We ride with Marquez. Rossi is coming once again. Rossi lines him up. Here comes Valentino Rossi, and he's moved back into third place.
Brilliant by Rossi. He almost took Marquez's knee. Rossi's foot off the foot peg yet again. I think Rossi's saying, like, don't let's have this tussle. We've got the pace to catch up with Jorge Lorenzo. This is turning out to be one of the scraps of the century.
Well, Marc Marquez is saying back to him, you should have said all those things on Thursday night if you didn't want to scrap like this, old chap.
Well, we said it was personal off the track. It is definitely personal on the track now. Valentino Rossi, he knows while he's having this great fight with Marc Marquez, Jorge Lorenzo's clearing off to a relatively comfortable second place. Crucial World Championship points at stake. Marquez is going to cut it tight through turn number 14. Rossi can't grab the inside line. Marquez back into third place. There was 52 overtakes last weekend between the top four. How many overtakes have we already seen in the first 6 laps between Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi in this dramatic Malaysian Grand Prix?
It makes the Rossi-Max Biaggi fights look like a vicar's tea party, because this is war between two guys that have fallen out big time. As Matt said, there's a lot more at stake than World Championship points. Of course, they're important. We better keep an eye at the front as well on Jorge Lorenzo, closing up on Danny Pedrosa. This is a war for third place on a racetrack at over 200 miles an hour.
Pick a fight with Marc Marquez at your peril. That's what Valentino Rossi did in the pre-event press conference. Some of the harshest comments we've ever heard from the 9-times world champion aimed at Marc Marquez. No way through for Rossi this time up at turn number 4. Jorge Lorenzo now is 2.7 seconds clear of this battle. Lorenzo still trying to put pressure on Danny Pedrosa, who's still leading by 0.6 of a second through 5. Back with this epic, this intriguing, this exhilarating battle between Marquez and Rossi.
Here comes Rossi once again. 4 points it is in the World Championship, but this could well change. Take a breath, open your eyes. This is the battle of the season. This is personal. Pedrosa and Lorenzo. Here comes Rossi on the brakes again. Even Valentino Rossi, and he runs it a little bit wide. Even Rossi couldn't get up the inside of Marquez, but he closes once again as they come through the first turn 10. And Rossi gets up the inside, and Rossi is back into third place. What can Marquez do? Side by side they come.
Oh, Marquez thought about riding around the outside of Rossi at turn 12, brave in the extreme. That would have been, he rides around the outside of him at turn 13 instead. He absolutely mugs Rossi on the outside. Rossi looks really close.
Marquez is gone.
Rossi was... Well, you've got to say, Valentino Rossi looks over his left shoulder. He slowed right down in turn number 14. There was contact between Marquez, a shake of the head from Marc Marquez, and you feel with some justification.
Oh, wow. There's going to be repercussions from that incident, I can promise you. Let's have a look at it again, Matt.
Yeah, Marquez, well, he got pretty close there. Rossi had the line through 12, and then Marquez audaciously, brilliantly rode around the outside of Rossi through turn number 13. Now this isn't through turn 14, coming onto the back straight. Rossi was wide. Well, Valentino Rossi has run Marc Marquez out to the edge of the track there. Marquez is coming back into the pits. As Nick quite rightly says, this race is only just one part of the story of the Malaysian Grand Prix. What is going to happen in race control after this race, because this is not over by any stretch of the imagination.
Dylan, put your tin hat on. He's coming back in.
Yeah, I'm just down here trying to see the reaction. Obviously, the team fuming.
Right, Marquez back in. Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Rossi. Marc Marquez crosses out after an incident with Valentino Rossi and goes straight to the back of the garage. We thought it could not get any more exciting. We didn't think it could get any more tense. It has. Rossi running in third place. This isn't the end of this particular incident. Marquez goes down.
Yeah, Rossi's picked him up, and he's pretty much slowed right down Valentino Rossi. And then as Marc Marquez has just tried to cut back to what was close to normal, and they were so far outside. Here is Rossi. Oh, I've got to say, Marc Marquez will feel incredibly aggrieved, and you have to have an element of sympathy for the Spanish rider. It's up on our screens. You won't be surprised here in the commentary box to hear that that incident in this unbelievable Malaysian Grand Prix will be investigated after the race by Race Direction. Here we go, confirmation. As we said, this is not the end of this Malaysian Grand Prix by a long, long way. Race Director Mike Webb and the three other members of that Race Direction panel, they will now be investigating that incident after the race, and I would think that there'll be some anxious and worried faces inside that factory Yamaha garage, because
right, settle into the race now, eh? It's about 6/10 of a second between Dani Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo. 6 seconds back for Valentino Rossi. Dovizioso and Crutchlow having a really good race for 4th place, and then Bradley Smith. Dylan.
Well, no, guys, you know, I can only tell you so much. As you say, Mark came into the box. As you can imagine, he's gone straight round the back. Very upset with the incident. Obviously, a few tempers down here at the moment. We know nothing more than that. I'll see whether I can find out something else. I'll be back with you guys shortly.
Many thanks, Dylan. Right, Bradley Smith 6, Aleix Espargaro 7, Paul Espargaro 8th, 9th is Petrucci, 10th is Bradle, 11th Vinales, Scott Redding 12, Batista 13, and Andes 14th, Hector Barbara coming up to 15th, Nicky Hayden 16th, 17th Miller, Elias 18th, 19th Temecula, Eugene Lafferty 20th, and Ant West running in 21st place. Out of the race, Marquez. Out of the race, Baz. You know we saw with a mechanical problem, and also not finished one lap was Damien Cudley.
There is a massed throng, inevitably, of TV cameras parked now outside that Repsol Honda garage. Is there been another huge sting in the tail of this MotoGP World Championship? The GAP Live Championship standings as it is right now on track. 7 points between Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. What if Lorenzo can catch and pass Dani Pedrosa?
Read my mind. 5, it would be down to 2 points then, wouldn't it? That.
And Valentino Rossi,
is he going to be penalised?
He might have bigger problems than just losing 5 more points to Jorge Lorenzo after this Malaysian Grand Prix. Dylan.
No, guys, just to let you know, so I've also been to the Yamaha garage. I've asked to get someone's opinion on the incident. Because it is going to be investigated by Race Direction, they prefer not to speak until something has been spoken about officially.
That's fair enough. They're probably preparing their case as we speak, aren't they? What a decision for Mike Webb, the race director, and his panel to make. Valentino Rossi has a good look around him. It's okay, Valentino Rossi. Look both ways there. I think it's just checking that Dovizioso isn't that close. Well, he's not. He's about 5 seconds down.
There's 2 things there that give me concern with Valentino Rossi. One is he was off the throttle when he should have been back on it. And 2, you can perhaps argue his case if he hadn't looked across to see where Marc Marquez was. He could have said in his defence, well, I didn't see him, I just ran wide. But he had 2 really long looks to his left. He could clearly see where Marc Marquez was on track. This is only going to rumble on and on, long into the night, I'm sure, as Race Direction analyse closely that incident between Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. After what Valentino Rossi said in the pre-event press conference on Thursday, it kind of set up the possibility of something like this happening on the track. It got bitter, it got personal. Valentino Rossi's comments were so vicious. It wasn't just about the racing aspect. He attacked Marc Marquez personally, didn't he?
He did. He said, at least with Max Biaggi, it was an open fight. He said Marc Marquez is supposed to be a fan of his when he grew up and had pictures on the wall. He doesn't believe that. Yeah, he got very, very nasty indeed. Or if Lorenzo could pip off Dani Pedrosa now, and that's not going to be easy. Pedrosa's riding well at the front. That would just blow the championship going into Valencia, and who knows what's going to happen in Race Direction. Pedrosa still leads the way. 10 laps ago, boy, those first 10 laps from the half distance have flown by. I don't think I've seen a fiercer battle at that level almost in my whole life of MotoGP. Boy, that was as fierce as you'd want to see.
Yeah, coming so close after what happened on Thursday. As we said, it was like a cocktail just waiting to go off, wasn't it? Was it Was it the right strategy by Valentino Rossi to say what he said? Well, questions will be asked, of course, by the millions of fans around the world. His motives for that personal attack. What we do know is that Marc Marquez is out of this Malaysian Grand Prix. And if Valentino Rossi, well, he accused Marquez of helping Jorge Lorenzo out last weekend in Australia. Well, boy, does he need a helping hand now from Dani Pedrosa at the front of this race, because if Lorenzo can pick up another 5 points, well, then Lorenzo will be in that luxury position in Valencia. If Lorenzo wins the race, it doesn't matter where Rossi finishes, he'll be the world champion.
This is Aleix Espargaro running in 7th place. It's Danilo Petrucci.
Oh, crash for Dovizioso. Andrea Dovizioso's gone down out of 4th place. That's going to push Cal Crutchlow up into 5th. Bradley Smith up into...
Cal Crutchlow up into 4th,
sorry.
now, yeah. Bradley Smith up into 5th place.
So it's another big
old day
mistake
for Ducati, isn't it?
Yeah, Andrea Iannone already ruled out with a technical problem, and now big crash for Andrea Dovizioso. That's going through turn number 6. There's no way you're going to get back in the race with that battered GP15, Andrea. Front end crash, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, fast place to crash there as well.
Well, did he get a tap from the inside? Looked like he got a tap from the inside by Cal Crutchlow, didn't it?
Anyway, race over for Andrea Dovizioso. Crutchlow has moved up into 4th place. Bradley Smith 5th. Aleix Espargaro in 7th place. We ride with Dani Pedrosa.
You know what? I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if Cal Crutchlow, might have clipped one of those wings.
Wow. Here we are. Over the start finish line 9 laps ago. What is the gap? It's 1.1 seconds now. So Pedrosa pulling away from Lorenzo, but Lorenzo will be very, very happy with 2nd place. But we're in for a long night here in Sepang.
Dani Pedrosa through turn 2. His advantage over Jorge Lorenzo, over a second for the first time in this race, as Bradley Smith is winning the All-British battle over Cal Crutchlow. This is a battle for 4th place in this 20-lap Malaysian Grand Prix. A 20-lap Malaysian Grand Prix that's been memorable since we walked into the paddock here on Thursday morning. There's been drama minute after minute, every single day. Something major has happened here, and it's kicked off all again in the race, that's for sure. A
lot of pride at stake in this particular battle, but it won't be have the same ferocity that we saw Marquez and Rossi. Was it a mistake by Crutchlow? No, it's just an excellent piece of work. He's going to run wide here, isn't he, Crutchlow? Yeah. So, I mean, Smith was on the right line, but Crutchlow ran it wide at turn 15.
Yeah, Bradley was close enough to pounce and take advantage of the mistake. It's all about this battle for the victory then. Jorge Lorenzo, no bigger incentive for him to try and hunt down Dani Pedrosa.
But it's that fine line, isn't it? Because obviously it's greasy, it's hot out there.
Tyres will be going off,
you got your 20 points in his pocket, well, virtually in his pocket, for 5 extra points. Of course he wants them, but he can't take the risk. It's a lonely 3rd place for Valentino Rossi. He's probably working out his defence as he's riding along, isn't he?
Yeah, it was one of the most ferocious fights we've ever seen in MotoGP history between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. Of course, there was a fire lit up between the two of them with those pre-event press conference comments. This is how it all happened. Marquez around the outside. As we said, it was an audacious and bold move from Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi.
Rossi would say he had the line. Honda would say that he slowed. What will race direction say? That's the important people to
well, you can see what Santi Hernandez thinks.
My God,
is crew chief.
Can't you just? It's a really good race for 4th place now between Bradley Smith and Cal Crutchlow. Crutchlow closes right up on him.
I would not be going to talk to Marc Marquez now without a crash helmet on, to be honest.
I'd say Dylan's down there with his tin helmet on, but I don't think you're going to get a lot out of anybody at the moment until they get to race direction. They will be preparing their cases through turn 3 up towards 4, all British clad. Say, awful lot of pride at stake here. Of course, Cal Crutchlow riding for that Tech 3 Yamaha team, a teammate to Bradley Smith for just 1 year. All quiet on the Western Front at the moment. I can see Dylan right at the front of the queue.
Good news for Valentino Rossi in terms of the championship, in terms of this race, is Dani Pedrosa is starting to edge out a little bit further on Jorge Lorenzo. His lead now is up to almost 1.7 seconds. In all the drama, in all the chaos, in all the carnage, take nothing away from what's been a majestic performance at the front of this race by Dani Pedrosa. He got the whole shot at the first corner. Nobody has been even close enough to show the 30-year-old a front wheel, and Dani Pedrosa is heading for his second win in the last 3 races.
Take nothing away also for Jorge Lorenzo. Mighty aggressive first couple of laps from Jorge Lorenzo. He knew what he had to do. He's done that. 7 points. Is that big enough? Is it going to be more? What a race direction. Going to say. Well, we're on the flight home at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think. Matt, aren't we? I think we better cancel that. We'll probably be sitting up here, I think.
Have you got the travel agent's phone number?
Yeah. Perhaps they decide pretty quickly. I know what you think. You think it's Valentino Rossi?
I think it's hard to see how it can be deemed a racing incident. If I'm being frankly honest.
Please be honest. Boy, Lorenzo, just preserve those tyres. Just settle for that second place. Rossi's long way behind. No mistakes now. Dani Pedrosa, well, from the moment he annihilated that lap record yesterday, you thought he was going to win this particular race. And sadly for him, he'll get a paragraph on it at the end of every race report in the world. It will only be about one thing. It will be about war on a MotoGP track.
Yeah, unfortunately, I tend to agree with you there, Nick. This victory charge by Dani Pedrosa is only going to be a mere sideshow in what's to come after the conclusion of this 20-lap race, because the drama, of course, the major talking point, not the major talking point of this Malaysian Grand Prix, arguably one of the biggest talking points potentially since what? Dani Pedrosa and Nicky Hayden and Esther Hill in 2006. You know, there's been a few since then,
but they went. Wasn't as fierce as that was. I mean, it was
brutal. Yeah,
that was like a boxing match, wasn't it?
It was as hard a racing as you'll possibly get to see.
Guys, just a quick update from down here. So they've already said Marc Marquez is not going to talk. However, Livio Supo, the team principal, has been at race direction. When he comes back down, they've told us we will get a few words from him.
Dive in there, Dylan.
Can't blame Marc Marquez.
I think we know what Livio Supo's going to say. I can almost say what he's going to say. They are going to blame fairly and squarely Valentino Rossi for the incident.
Can't really blame Marc Marquez for not coming to talk to the cameras. He's going to be absolutely incensed, enraged. He might say something that he'll live to regret one day in the heat of the moment. It's time now for Marc Marquez just to gather his thoughts, have a bit of quiet time with his team, just to work out where to move on from here in his relationship with Valentino Rossi. It was already completely soured by the comments made on the eve of this Grand Prix by this man, number 46. Well, if any hopes of that broken relationship being repaired, well, they've long gone.
Still a great race going on between Bradley Smith and Cal Crutchlow. This is a bit further back. Danilo Petrucci 6, Aleix Espargaro, Paul Espargaro, Maverick Vinales, Stefan Bradl. Good ride by Stefan Bradl on that Aprilia. Great ride by Paul Espargaro with that neck injury.
Guys, I'm going to have to butt in here. I'm down here with Livio Supo. Livio, extraordinary scenes we've seen out there on track. Do we understand that you've already been to race direction to speak about this?
I've been there, but they don't speak till the end of the race. For me, it's clear that Valentino deliberately kicked the bike of Marc, and this is why he crashed. So let's wait and see what they say at the end.
Thank you very much, Livio.
Yeah, as we said, you can't really call that you can't call it a racing incident. It wasn't a normal racing incident. Valentino Rossi, we heard he was clearly off the throttle when he should have been picking up the throttle to accelerate down the back straight, and it wasn't. There was 2 clear looks left to see where Marc Marquez was, and I think, as we've said numerous times, this is not the end of the Malaysian Grand Prix by any stretch of the imagination, because what action will race direction take, and what impact will that have on deciding the 2015 MotoGP World Championship?
Yeah, what can they take? Can they take points away from him? Can they move him down the grid? Can they give him penalty points? Well, how severe was the incident? I think if he's found guilty, it's very severe indeed. Lorenzo will trail him by 7 points at the end of the race. And what happens in the after-event press conference? Does Valentino Rossi come to that?
Let's be brutally honest, we've just heard from Livio Supo. His accusation, his words, not ours. Valentino Rossi deliberately took out Marc Marquez. Now, if you're deemed in this sport to be deliberately taking out one of your fellow competitors, well then race direction, they don't take that very lightly at all.
No. Hold the front page, as we'd have said about 10 years ago in our old journalistic days.
I suppose it's hold the homepage now, isn't it?
Hold the whole newspaper, I think. Bradley Smith is having a great ride in 4th place, and he's fighting off the challenger, Cal Crutchlow. That's Bradley Smith, who had real problems, didn't he, in practice, and only qualified in the end from qualifying 1.
There was almost a touch there. This is another camera angle. This is through 12. Marc Marquez bravely around the outside of turn number 30, and this is where it has all kicked off.
Oh, he has a good look at him.
That's
he has. Oh, and again, 2 real hard looks at him.
Like I said, he had 2 clear, long looks at Marc Marquez. There's Uccio Salucci, best friend of Valentino Rossi.
You know,
I think even they'll find it hard.
Their faces.
It's going to. Even they might find it hard when they've seen the TV replay in the cold light of day. Even Valentino Rossi's closest allies might find it difficult to defend the way he approached that with Marc Marquez.
It's the way he looked at him on 2 occasions.
Yeah, he knew exactly where he was.
He cannot claim he didn't see it.
No,
let's leave it now to race direction, but wow. Boy, Lorenzo will trail him in the championship by 7 points at the end of the race. We're in for a long night. Stand by for all the news, because there is no doubt race direction might make a pretty quick decision. Great ride by Danny Pedrosa. Don't take anything away from him. Super ride by Jorge Lorenzo. Aggressive first 2 laps from Lorenzo. He stayed out of that fight, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't want to get involved in that nonsense.
And what we do know about race director Mike Webb, there's nobody more measured, calm and collected in this Grand Prix paddock than Mike Webb. They will have numerous camera angles to look at that incident between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez, but you do feel, your gut instinct at the time was it didn't look great for Valentino Rossi. As I said, the 2 key things for me was he was so slow and pushing Marquez to the outside of the track initially, and then it was the 2 big long looks. Livio Supo there insinuating that Valentino Rossi aimed a deliberate kick out at Marc Marquez. That's why the Spaniard crashed out of the race. Back to the leader, Danny Pedrosa. As we say, unfortunately, it will take the gloss off what's been one of the performances of the season in terms of dominating a race from start to finish. 4 laps to go, and Pedrosa's almost 2 seconds clear now of Jorge Lorenzo.
Here is Danny Pedrosa chasing his 3rd MotoGP win here. It'd be his 5th Grand Prix win at the circuit. Jorge Lorenzo's a bit of a lonely 2nd place. He won't know of all the shenanigans behind him. He probably knows that Marc Marquez is out of the race, but he'll just know that he's got 20 points, and he will know that Valentino Rossi is in 3rd place. Great ride by Lorenzo. He's blown the championship wide open, whatever happens. Yeah. And just one thing about Mike Webb as well, he will not be influenced by reputations in any way at all.
What will be interesting, normally when race direction are pouring through the video evidence, they will call both riders to a meeting to hear them explain their actions. Now, usually, sometimes, those discussions take place in the same room with both riders present. Well, given that it was a frosty atmosphere before this race between Marc Marquez and... I think now it's I think it's fair to say it's a poisonous atmosphere between Marquez and Lorenzo and Rossi, sorry.
Here's Pedrosa down at turn 15. 3 laps to go as he chases his 2nd Grand Prix victory of the season. Great flyaway for him. He won in Japan, he's won here. Jorge Lorenzo, 20 precious points. They're telling him that Valentino Rossi is a long way back and he's in a very safe 2nd place. Here is Lorenzo, 10 seconds now between Rossi and 8 seconds between Rossi and Lorenzo. Bradley Smith looks pretty safe at the moment, now in 4th place, but he still hasn't crossed the line. Crosses the line now. Cal Crutchlow running in 5th. Wonder what... You can't possibly think what Valentino Rossi's thinking at the moment, can you? It's a good race. The 2 Suzukis running together.
Yeah, brilliant by Danilo Petrucci up into 6th place. Well, Espargaro had a really good start to this race. Maybe those neck problems that he suffered in that crash this morning at turn 1 with Hector Barbera just affecting him. It's a very physically demanding race, a very physically demanding circuit here in Malaysia. Espargaro's dropped way back off the pace, down into 9th. Stefan Bradl doing a really good job on that factory Aprilia at the moment. Bradl into 10th place.
Yeah, Scott Redding 11th, Johnny Hernandez 12th, Hector Barbara coming back through the field 13th, 14th is Batista, and 15th Tony Elias, 16th Jack Miller, 17th Nicky Hayden, 18th Mike DeMeglo, 19th Eugene Lafferty, and in 20th place is Ant West replacing the injured Alex De Angelis, who about at this moment is being flown home from Japan to Italy following that crash in Japan 2 weeks ago.
There's a fair amount of pride at stake here with bragging rights in that factory Suzuki garage. Vinales sweeps up the inside of Malesia. Spargaro, classic block pass up the inside down at turn number 9. Danilo Petrucci, we just saw a quick glimpse of him in 6th place. If Petrucci does actually complete this race in 6th place, it'll be the first time in his career in a full dry race that he's finished inside the top 6. Espargaro has fought straight back on Vinales. It's not quite as ferocious and vicious as the Rossi Marquez showdown, but it's still a good old battle going on here between these two ex-star Suzuki men.
Yeah, it's 2 good battles there has been. 2 Brits fighting out for pride, and now 2 Suzuki riders fighting out for pride. Vinales has got the record here, you've got to say. He's won here on 2 occasions, and he was 6th in that Australian Grand Prix. Great to see Suzuki up there. And there's a really good battle for 7th place. Bradley Smith has crossed the line in 4th place, 2 laps to go. Pedrosa's advantage now over 3 seconds over Jorge Lorenzo. Then Valentino Rossi, Petrucci, Alessio Spargo, Maverick Vinales is as close as that. And here comes Maverick Vinales, not able to get up inside of his teammate into turn 1. We ride with Danny Pedrosa.
Tell you what, Bradley Smith's done a number on Cal Crutchlow. He's 2.5 seconds clear now of the British rider in 4th place. The start of some very long, in-depth, detailed analysis going on now between Lynn Jarvis
on the right, the press man in the middle, and Mauro Meglari on the left side. Yep. And they'll be planning their strategy and their press strategy.
They'll be discussing just how their PR department handles this.
Nakamoto-san, the HRC Vice President.
Strange to see, isn't it? His man's about to win the Malaysian Grand Prix and he's still got a face of thunder. HRC Vice President Shuai Nakamoto. It's a shame, really. I mean, we have seen one of the all-time classic battles, but you have to feel sorry, a little bit of sympathy for Danny Pedrosa, because Nick quite rightly pointed out his victory here in Malaysia will be completely overshadowed. It's the secondary issue in this Malaysian Grand Prix, because all the talk, all the post-race gossip and analysis will be about Rossi versus Marquez.
Here's Danny Pedrosa down at turn 15 for the penultimate time. He's led this race from start to finish. He has ridden an impeccable race in very, very different conditions. 1 lap to go. 3-second advantage. Still urging him on. I think I'd be saying slow down a bit. Just be careful. But he's not made a mistake yet. Jorge Lorenzo very, very aggressive in those opening 2 laps to get up into 2nd place. That was enough. Valentino Rossi, the story has not even started. What is going to happen here in Malaysia in 3rd place?
No doubt about that. This will be a 5th career victory in Malaysia for Danny Pedrosa. He won the 2003 race here to clinch the 125cc world title. Winner a year later in 250s, and this will be his 3rd win in 4 years in the Moto2 class here in Sepang. Well, as it stands, the gap between Rossi and Lorenzo down to just 7 points, heading to what will be a nail-biting and engrossing final round, the final chapter of this unbelievable, incredible 2015 MotoGP World Championship. But what will happen to Valentino Rossi in the aftermath of this incredible 20-lap Sepang race?
Well, I said at the start, we don't know what's going to happen. We've seen everything. We saw that amazing race, didn't we, in Australia? We saw amazing verbal assault by Valentino Rossi on Marc Marquez on Thursday. I didn't think anything else could happen. And now we've seen war out on the track, and Valentino Rossi's going to have a very, very good lawyer to keep his World Championship points, or what is going to happen. Stay with us. We won't be able to tell you at the end of this broadcast, because this is going to go on long into the night. But now, let's salute the race winner, Danny Pedrosa.
He's ridden one of the performances of his MotoGP career here today, Danny Pedrosa. A start to finish victory here in a much talked about Sepang MotoGP race. Dani Pedrosa, the number 26, peels through the final corner to take his second win in 3 Grand Prix.
Dani Pedrosa, start to finish victory in Malaysia. Masterclass. Jorge Lorenzo, 20 World Championship points. That's what it means to him. Valentino Rossi is third, but his battle may just be starting off the track.
Valentino Rossi over the line, and it is a very, very subdued number 46 that crossed the line there. Brilliant by Bradley Smith in 4th place. He got the better of his fellow British rider Cal Crutchlow, who crosses the line to take 5th. It's a best dry race result of his career for Danilo Petrucci. Brilliant fight through the field from 13th on the grid to 6th. Aleix Espargaro wins the battle of the two Suzukis by just over a 1/10 of a second from Maverick Vinales. Joy on one side of the Repsol Honda garage.
Dani Pedrosa obviously doesn't know what's happened, does he?
No,
Marquez is probably out. But
and what about the conflicting reactions of the two Yamaha men? Jorge Lorenzo came over the line like he'd won the World Championship. He knew, mission accomplished for Lorenzo. He had to beat Valentino Rossi here. If he lost to Rossi here, then he would have been trying to claw back a deficit that was in double figures going to Valencia. That would have been really hard even for Lorenzo. But now he knows, look at this, he's been fist pumping all the way around this cool down lap. We could almost, despite the noise of that Yamaha engine, hear him shouting and screaming inside his helmet as he crossed the line. Massive, massive 20 points for Lorenzo. But as we said, it was a pretty subdued Valentino Rossi that crossed the line in 3rd place. A bit further down behind Maverick Vinales. Pol Espargaro was 9th. Great ride, first top 10 of his factory Aprilia career for Stefan Bradl. Scott Redding, Yoni Hernandez, Hector Barbara, Tony Elias, Alvaro Bautista were the point scoring finishes, but it's going to rumble on and on. They'll be talking about the battle between Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi for the next 20 to 30 years. That's how hostile it was.
And here it is. This is the moment. So, Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez clash here in Sepang.
Here we go. This is down at turn number 14. Look left once, look left twice.
Livio Supo suggested that he kicked out at him. I don't think
he did.
We couldn't see that.
Do you know what? I think Livio Supo, perfectly within his rights to give his version of events of how he saw it, but I'm not sure actually. I think what happened there, Marc Marquez, it looked like from that replay that he might have just clipped Rossi's leg, and Valentino was just maybe moving his leg out to make sure that